essentially we're going to hear Gary and Mauler responding to Peacemaker first episode, and they didn't like it. And it seems they didn't like it for political reasons, but they do have some aesthetic criticism. Now, fair warning, I have not seen episode 1 of Peacemaker, but as we're going to see, I really don't have to because they're really misdescribing what is occurring or even the possible motives of James Gunn. It's also kind of shocking because heel versus babyface is allegedly a big DC fan, and he didn't jump in to correct them because, as we're going to see, they're making some rather incredible mistakes and assumptions.
In this show, I liked Peacemaker in small doses, but he's obviously just a fucking idiot. And then, of course, there's white supremacist bad guys, and I'm like, of course there is.
Oh man, we didn't even mention his dad.
Fucking everything. Yeah.
His dad, played by Robert Patrick, who I was really excited to see. He's a cartoon as well. Like, this really awkward line where I think even Jay, out of the three of us, was just like, why did they? Was that supposed to be funny? Basically, like, Peacemaker's like, oh, I shot a whole bunch of people while I was on my mission in Corte Maltese, and he's like, commies, blacks, kikes. Like, what?
He actually said kikes.
Yes.
What?
And just throwing blacks in there, like he's expecting Peacemaker to just gun down black people. Like, what?
What?
Because he's a white.
He's a racist.
Like
that's why he loves China.
That happens all the time. That's part of that reinforcement of that art. Even when it's in art, it's supposed to be tongue in cheek, but we all know they're everywhere.
Oh God.
And yeah, so that just threw us off completely.
That's like The Boys season 2, isn't it? Girls get things done. No, but really, they do.
Yeah.
I was hoping we'd get like patriotic dad who can be fun but also stern, but no, he's just crazy. And
so what's the big deal? Well, apparently they don't like that the Peacemaker is a little too clownish. He's doing these weird mood swings. But one of the major things they really can't stand, the father is being portrayed as a white supremacist. Well, again, this is a little problematic because, according to Gary, he's not trying to be political. He's not trying to be a right-wing fascist. He's not being part of the alt-right. He's not an evil white man. He just wants the lore to be respected. But the problem is, in the comics, Peacemaker's father is a Nazi. This version of the father is essentially a pastiche of the canonical father, who again is a Nazi, and this other character who's a supervillain. The point is, these are legitimate choices. Moreover, within the canon of the comics, it's totally possible that James Gunn is just taking bits and pieces of, again, what is in the comics and just using it for his own purposes. They can still not like the show and say the tone and aesthetics is not for them, but them imputing some kind of sinister political motive doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Or even them saying, this doesn't really even fit the character. The character has violent mood swings. The character has a Nazi father. The character has very violent tendencies. And again, it's shown in the Suicide Squad. He is kind of stupid. So him being much more clownish, okay, they may not like that, but we saw some of that in the Suicide Squad. We saw he had these very volatile mood swings. So again, I have not seen the episode, so I want to be careful. Maybe I'll agree with them that James Gunn went too far. But in terms of Gary's issue, that they're getting away from the canon, or this doesn't make sense, or it doesn't sound right, no, that's in the comics. Now, I understand his point that they're overusing the white supremacist trope. That might be true for other characters, but not this character. For this character in particular, this makes a whole lot of sense. Because again, we can reference the comics, and not just for one era, right? Because the Peacemaker has been rethought, remade, and rebooted in several different directions. Like, I know him from the 1990s, but even then, yeah, he talked to himself. He was pretty crazy. And he's actually one of the rare characters where visually he hasn't been changed that much. So there's a lot of continuity to the character. I understand their point that they, being very much on the right wing, feel personally kind of assaulted, saying, oh, what are they trying to imply? That's canonical to the character. This is clearly referencing a lot of the comics. It's not exact. They're changing a lot of things. But Mauler saying, oh, I want him to be a conservative, patriotic man. That's a political demand. That has nothing to do with the aesthetics. Saying, oh, I want him to be a normal father. Patriotic. Okay. What does that have to do with the character? The character's family history is just not like that. He's mentally disturbed. He had a Nazi daddy. James is taking little bits and pieces of that, and he's taking bits and pieces of combining it with this other villain who's also a racist. Now, again, maybe he should be more creative, maybe not stick to the comics. But again, there's an inconsistency. Gary's whole complaining is, why don't they just do the comics? Well, again, this seems pretty close to the comics. Maybe I'll see the episode, maybe I'll agree he went too far, but it seems like they had an issue with the tone. It's too comedic, and it's got too much cursing and all that stuff. But again, a lot of stuff here, okay, it didn't go the way you wanted to politically, but the Peacemaker is a very political character. And again, in his own family history, he's got racism and Nazism, and he's pretty crazy. He's got a split personality. He sees his father in various panels of the comics. The best I can come up with is Mauler obviously doesn't know the comics. Gary mainly knows the Marvel stuff, though he keeps boasting he knows the DC stuff. So could just be a gap. That's fine, but he should say that, saying I don't really know this character. But Heel versus Babyface is supposed to be their DC person, and he's just like, oh, I'm shocked. I'm shocked he actually said the K word. He actually said this racist language. Well, yeah, Nazis tend to do that. This Nazi man in particular is pretty out there. Why would this be shocking? I'm sort of having fun here. I'm exposing their sheer ignorance and stupidity and their claim, oh, we know the law. We're just fans. Clearly not true. They're just injecting their own politics. But it's like, that's fine too, but this is the worst case scenario. Like, this is not the character you want to complain about those things. Because it's like, yeah, this seems to kind of mirror closely what happened in the comics. So what are you talking about? But there we are. Again, a lot of profound ignorance going on with Gary Mauler and Heel versus Babyface. But I'll give the episode a chance. Maybe I'll agree with them that this Peacemaker went too far. But again, from my comic book knowledge and research, it doesn't look like it went all that much further than what we've seen in the comics. But could be wrong. But yeah, they're just presuming that this makes no sense. But that's not the way I see it.